Hello, hello. Welcome to Whiskey Wednesdays. This is fun. I always look forward to this. What's up, Dave? How we doing?
Good. Haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, really? No, yeah, long time no see. Literally 2 days in a row from 9 a.m. to, I don't know,
6.
yesterday was 5 till 6 and today till 5. We were on virtual meetings together. So, yeah, I actually counted every one of the hairs on your head over the last 2 days.
There's probably less today than there was yesterday.
How many hairs are on a head, actually? I was going to throw out a fictitious number, but I was going to say 72,000, but am I even in 100,000 range of how many hairs are on a human head?
There's less hair on my head. There's less hair on my head than there is on your face.
What's the let's type it in, right? Let's get some guesses. How many, and don't be cheating, put in Googling it. I'm sure everybody is.
What's the question?
What do we
How
got?
many hairs are on a head?
On a human head, yeah. How many hairs are on a human head?
I guess it depends on whose human head. But let's go ahead. What do you guys think? What are the guesses? Hairs on a human head. No going to Google.
You know, the funny thing is I haven't even started drinking yet, so you can tell this is going to be a fun Whiskey Wednesday.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh, wait.
Bill Cole said not many at my age.
So let's do this. Let's do a cheers. Does everybody, can they turn their cameras on? Do they have the ability to do that, Dave?
Yeah,
I
think
cheers,
so.
or no?
Everyone who's got a webcam, just hit the webcam button, see if it turns on here. We'll see if it works. I don't know.
We'll do an experiment.
Richard James says there's 250,000.
Okay, I was way off. 73,000.
There we go. There's Rob.
What's up, Rob? There's one. Yeah, I wonder if you have to approve or something, people to be able to do that. Because I would have thought we would have had more jumping.
Karen might be able to help that. She might have a switch that she can do.
She's got maybe a magic button.
Yeah, we'll do it next time. Because, yeah, we got 53 people on here. It's not just the three of us.
All right. Well, cheers.
Well, regardless, cheers. Exactly. Yeah.
Cheers, everyone.
So, Rob's going to be back in a minute to make a drink. Anybody have a guess what I'm drinking? I know you know what it is, Dave. Type it in. Let's see who the first person that types it in. Existing advisor, we're sending a bottle of Crown Royal.
Oh, you just gave it away.
You got to be kidding me.
Are you sure you haven't been drinking?
I'll still do it.
I will say Nick Ryland was the first person. So Nick,
all right, you got it, Nick. Karen, send him a bottle of Crown Royal.
Nick actually typed it before you gave it away.
All right, maybe I have been drinking. All right, let's start talking about stuff that people care about. I know what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about Crown Royal. So this is kind of cool. Karen sent me a little fun fact about Crown Royal. I used to collect these bags, and I had no clue why, right? But I used to have tons of them. How many other people, right? I mean, because you don't want to throw it. It's hard to throw these away. There's you feel like you should do something with it, right?
What did you?
Maybe it was just me.
What did you used to keep in them?
I don't even know. Poker chips. I remember I used to keep my poker chips in them for a while. That's the only thing I can remember.
Dice.
What?
Dungeons and Dragons dice. I'm a nerd.
Oh, nice.
I used to keep my golf stuff in there, some balls and golf tees and cigars and all the good stuff you want on the golf course.
For those of you the first time on here, we're not this sloppy kicking out of the gate as normally, but that's okay. Like we said, we've been
John Dowd is making masks out of his Crown Royal bags.
That's a brilliant idea. Tell me how to send me a video how to do that, John. Where's my notes on my whiskey? Fun facts on Crown Royal. This is a fun one. I'm just going to share one. So in 1939, King George, it's a Canadian whiskey. They don't have like any rules in Canada of like you can call it a rye whiskey and have no rye in it. So apparently it's like the Wild West of whiskeys in Canada. But anyways, 1939, King George the 11th visited, and they made a special bottle, Crown Royal Deluxe, in his honor. Him and his wife, Queen Elizabeth, took, 10 cases of the stuff on their train, easily the classiest liquor run in history. And it wasn't introduced to U.S. till 1964. Fun fact. How about you, Dave? What are you drinking?
Well, I just was running out from doing something and didn't have much time, so I just grabbed my same old bottle of Jefferson Reserve. I think I was drinking last time. So a fun fact about Jefferson, though, is my good buddy, Mr. Greg Hammer, just turned 50 years old on, I think, Monday, right, Hammer? 50 for Hammer.
Wow.
And
yeah.
So I sent him a really good bottle. There's something called Jefferson's Ocean, which is bourbon barrels that they throw out in the ocean and they let them age out in the ocean. And apparently the rocking of the ocean is supposed to make it taste better. So Hammer, you'll have to let us know if the rocking of the ocean, hopefully that's arrived at your house by now, but hopefully you'll have to let us know how it tastes.
Nice. Now I feel bad. I didn't send Greg anything. Sorry, Greg. I sent you a text and said happy birthday at least. So, anyways, all right. So, what else? What are we going to talk about? Let's have Rob make a drink, right? Let's do that. Let's do the drink. In the meantime, administratively, let's figure out, because we wanted to have Greg on to talk for a couple minutes at some point, and make sure he has the ability to do that. All right.
Afternoon, everybody. Today we're making a whiskey smash. It is a citrusy version of the mint julep. So I know we just had Kentucky Derby 2 weeks ago, and I had a mint julep with no race, which was not fun. So today we're going to start with 3 lemon wedges, and we're going to muddle these rather than squeezing out the juice. And that way you get a little bit of the rind in there, a little splash of lemon in your face, always fun. And then we're going to take mint leaves, which are a weed, but they are awesome. And we have them in our side of our garage, and I tell my neighbors not to cut them down because it's for my cocktails. What we're going to do is we're going to spank your mint, which releases all of the oils and effervescentness in the mint. I know that sounds funny, but it is awesome. And then we're going to do
spank your mint.
Spank your mint. It's a technical term. I'm not making that up. And then it's 3/4 ounce of.
I've never spanked my mint before. Go ahead.
And simple syrup. I know it looks like it sounds like it'd be complicated to make, but it's really just half a cup of sugar, half a cup of water. Bring it to a simmer, let it all melt, and then you can just sort of let it cool, put it in the refrigerator, and you've got a nice sweetener for yourself. We actually just infused one with turmeric. We just infused a simple syrup with turmeric not too long ago to make a nice brightly colored cocktail. Then we've got 2 ounces of bourbon. And then we need to shake. Got the ice in there. I'm going to shake that for 30 seconds. I always try to do a little bit of truncated for time for you guys. And then we have, Dave saw these too. These are for, I don't know what Dave has, but these are the ice molds that we were talking about for the bigger, rounder cubes. And, you know, it's it slows the dilution down a bit. So it's kind of, they're only like $8 for 2 of them on Amazon. So I highly recommend getting one. Strain over the ice. And then I just garnished with a little bit of mint. You can actually spank that too, so that when it comes up to your nose, you have a little bit of that mint flavoring. So cheers, guys. Hope you have a good whiskey Wednesday. Any questions?
Can you go through how to spank the mint one more time?
I'll do it one more time. Slow motion.
Special request.
There you go.
Who's that? That was from Jennifer Mackert. She requested that.
Thanks, Jeff. Always can count on you. So enjoy, guys. Happy Wednesday.
Thanks, Rob. That was great, man. Appreciate it. Cool. So let's talk about the agenda today, Dave. Let's think about let's talk about what we're going to talk about. So I know one of the things is we're going to give an update on marketing and kind of share some numbers. We'll have Rob join here in a few minutes to talk about that.
I just want to share real quick, that is the final cocktail, and the recipe, as always, is in the notes sections. I was a little bit late there. So
thanks for doing that. Yeah, the whiskey smash recipe is right there in the handout section.
We're getting a lot of happy birthdays from Greg Hammer, and Richard James said Google said 90,000 to 150,000 hairs in the head.
I was actually close with that 70,000.
And Jennifer Mackert said hashtag spank the mint.
Awesome.
All
righty.
So back to stuff that people do care about.
Well, we're going to talk about today something that we created called the decision tree of really identifying your current book of clients, right, and your book of business, your clients, and helping kind of navigate, not right now, Dave, but helping navigate through, making the decision of what you might want to talk to them about from a cross-selling opportunity. So we will talk about that. We'll talk about the bucket plan. We've been revamping that course to be more user-friendly in a virtual environment. So we're going to talk a little bit about what we've done. How we've created 2 separate courses, an introductory course, and then what's the other one called, Dave? The how course.
Advanced course. Introductory and advanced.
The advanced course. Okay. Thanks. And so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about kind of what we're going to do on helping all the advisors, those of you out there that want a little bit more loving in regards to embracing technology and operating in a virtual environment, and some of the things we're going to be doing there. And we might talk a little bit about, I think we will talk a little bit about the PPP and these articles that are going around right now about the necessity clause. And a lot of people are actually returning the money, but who might want to even possibly consider returning the money? And there's a deadline even tomorrow. Or did it get extended, Dave? I thought you said something about, or is it still tomorrow?
It's extended till tomorrow.
Okay, that safe harbor provision. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about marketing and the numbers. The other Rob will come on, Lasivita, my implementer at our integrator at JL Smith Group. So he'll share some of the marketing numbers. And anything else, Dave? What else we got on the docket we wanted to talk about?
Yeah, just some updates and announcements, some things that we've been working on, some important dates to mark the calendar on, and just kind of open forum. I mean, the great thing, we've been jam-packed with content in these today, and we certainly have a bunch of content and some good speakers, but we want to make these as interactive as possible. Opportunity to just ask any questions, anything that you got going on in your business, any opportunities, any challenges, any struggles, any successes and failures. we just, type it in the chat box. And we could always invite other people to join us on here on the camera. So if you want to come on and chat with us about something, we could make you a presenter also. And we're going to do that in a little bit with Greg Hammer. We've done it with Rob. We got a few people to come on and share. And so that's going to be our core focus for today.
Yeah, I think the first thing we should talk about, just to get it out of the way, because people might be wondering about it. So I think it was Financial Advisor magazine published an article about it yesterday, right? If people want to read a pretty good article about learning about this. But the gist is that, this necessity clause in for those of you who went ahead and applied and got funded for the PPP loan, is they're stating, specific to financial advisors, it can't just be because you lost revenue. You got to be able to prove that you actually needed the money. And it's very vague right now. But one of the things I think, like in my interpretation, or Dave, you want to expand on it? And then I'll kind of share my interpretation of two classes of advisors and what the potential risk is.
Yeah, sure. So, we've given a lot of information on the loan. Really, they put the loan out there to help employers maintain payroll during, this hard time. And so there was some kind of do's and don'ts with the loan. I mean, the loan wasn't necessarily, to create liquidity for you to go invest in growth initiatives of your company. The loan was really there so you can maintain operations and payroll and some of the essentials of the company. And so, what they really wanted to see and have is businesses who kind of had a necessity for the loan apply for it. And as Jason mentioned, it was really vague in the application. I mean, there wasn't a lot of information out about it. But what ended up starting to happening, and you probably saw it in the media, is some of these big companies, Shake Shack was in the media, Ruth's Chris was in the media. They came out and got $10 million of funding. And, the SBA came out and were like, all right, did you really need the loan, or were you just doing it because you could? And, you saw universities like Harvard, they actually didn't even apply for the loan, but they got grant money because they're an educational entity in the United States, and it was just given out to all of them. And they were like, you have billions of dollars of endowment money. Did you really need it? And so a couple weeks ago, the SBA and the Treasury came out with a notice that basically said for anyone who got 2 million or more, it was going to be an automatic audit to see if they actually needed the money. And what that started to trigger is saying, well, who else might be audited? Because they left it vague and said, and we might consider other businesses audited as well. And so, that spurred kind of a flurry of this like definition around necessity. And, Financial Advisor magazine produced an article, because if you have your own RIA and your RIA took this loan out, you need to disclose it in your ADV. It basically came to the conclusion, like a lot of advisors have, substantial recurring revenue. And if that recurring revenue, supported all of the revenue and expense needs of the business, did they really have a necessity to take this loan out? And I think that was the big question, because the loan, people say, well, my AUM fees are down 20 or 30%. And again, what their definition kind of in FA magazine and other sources were is like, that's just part of the game of being a financial advisor. Like in a bull market, you make more. In a bear market, you make less. Like that's not a direct impact of the coronavirus and COVID. And so I think what started to come out is like you have all these law firms going back and forth on interpretation. The law itself, the requirements are very vague. But I think ultimately, really what it looks like is, I think there's a lot of financial advisory businesses that, would have suffered had they not gotten this relief money. They can't have clients in the office. They can't do marketing. They can't do a lot of the things that they're supposed to do. And at the end of the day, even though a lot of us have built up recurring revenue, we're still in sales, right? And if you're a salesperson in any other industry and you can't easily make sales because of the environment we're in, like not being able to meet clients, not having people in your office, not doing marketing events. I mean, that's a disruption of business for sure. And so there's a lot of gray area on this, but that's the gist of it, is this necessity to actually have the loan. And what they're also looking at is, what other liquidity sources may have existed. And so I think,
line of credit, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
or
Line of
even,
credit or other capital available, right? In
there
your
was an
business.
article of an RIA firm that had like 24 billion of AUM, and they had tens and tens of millions of dollars of cash reserves, and like they qualified for the loan. Like they didn't need it. They had enough cash reserves where their business checking
Right.
account was flush. And so I think that's some of the stuff you're going to continue to see and hear about and read about.
Yeah, and I think there's two categories of advisors, right? And one category of advisors is the category that relies in large part on new business development to create new revenue, right? And so meaning, bringing on new clients in order to create new revenue. And so that's would be the definition of business development. And especially if you're doing insurance business, right, where there's commission. And so where that revenue is important to run your business and have your business continue to succeed and have enough success that you can pay all your responsibilities, including all your staff, and then have enough left over for yourself. That's one category of advisors. And I don't think that category of advisors has doesn't need to think twice about, because they're throwing around legal, potential felony, whatever. I think they're trying to scare people into paying the money back, who don't really need it, which is smart. But that category, in my opinion, I'm in that category. JL Smith Group is. I'm not worried about it. The other category, though, is pure AUM advisors that really all they've seen is market fluctuation, but they don't rely on new commissions and business development to pay all their responsibilities. Primarily, their revenue is all reoccurring revenue. Maybe they're going to be, there's going to be a little bit more analysis on whether they really needed it to continue to grow their business. But I think that's really the two categories, and you just got to look at what category you fall in. But at the end of the day, it's a risk and reward conversation. I was having this conversation a little bit ago. If you fall in the category where most all your revenue is reoccurring, maybe, if you're willing to take the risk and hope that you can retain those funds and utilize them, then you keep it, right? If you're like, I don't really want to take that risk, I'm just going to pay it back because I'm going to take advantage of the safe harbor, not have anybody look at me or what's going on, never have to worry about the SBA taking a look, then maybe you pay it back. Just depends on kind of your mindset, I guess.
Yeah. And I think the reality of it is they set very clear guidelines, like how you qualify for it, how you get it forgiven, and what you can use it for. And so, we've been very clear on that since day one. Like at C2P, we're not going to be eligible to get 100% of it forgiven. So there's going to be a chunk of it that's going to be a long-term loan, but there's a bigger chunk that will be forgiven. So you just got to make sure you follow the rules to a T, document everything throughout the process, document how your business has been impacted by the virus and the changes that have happened. And, the reality of it is, they've made it very clear they're going after the $2 million plus loan amounts. Who knows what'll happen with everything else? But, just like anything else.
I think the bank's going to play a big role too, right? The bank is going to play a big role as to whether if you're under that 2 million, potentially you get looked at. That's the other thing. That wasn't a corona cough, by the way, either. I have allergies, so that's all that was. So this is a good conversation, though. I think it was, hopefully you guys kind of got a couple nuggets and just some thoughts and, looking at your business of what you might want to consider. At JL Smith Group, I'm confident, this was something that, here's the challenge though, right, Dave, is they give you this 8-week window. And in reality, we had a killer March. We still had a lot in the pipeline that paid in April. So we actually had a great April also. But now what's happening is our pipeline dried up, and we're starting to see the effects now. And so there's, in May, and I'm sure we'll in June, but the good part is, and maybe we'll cover that next, is we're doing a lot of marketing. So I think we're going to be able to get ahead of this thing and have a temporary disruption. But this whole 8-week thing, it's like we didn't need it in those 8 weeks. We actually are going to need it for probably the next 8 weeks, right? The first 8 weeks, we were still had all these people in the process. We still had our pipeline full. New business pending was full. Well, now it's really the second 8 weeks is where we're going to see disruption in our cash flow. And so it is interesting, right? Because it's like, if you're sitting there criticizing us that we didn't need it the first 8 weeks, well, we didn't need it the first, but we needed it the second, but we had to spend it all in the first, right? So.
Yeah, and I just wanted to share a couple other things. Joe Salerno just actually sent me this article that's good. I'll put it in the comments box, but it's things that you should retain in your file. The date the loan was made, attempts to secure open lines of credit, projected decreases in revenue, cash flow projections, limitations on use of working capital, current threat assessment to your business, balance sheet when applying for the loan, requests to reduce work or bills from clients, supply chain uncertainty, uncertainty on when you can reopen, risks of current working capital, and how your business is currently impacted. So it's kind of like a little checklist of things. So appreciate you sending that, Joe. And then a couple other things.
Every one of you on this call should literally take that and make it a point of documenting that and putting it in a PPP file if you retain this money. There's no doubt about that. That you should do that. I know we're going to do that.
Yep. And
What's
then
that?
a couple of questions that just came in. Doug said, I thought I read they'll audit your 940s. So, I think they're going to use the 940s to help audit the forgivable amount, but we're talking about something totally different than what's forgiven. We're talking about who actually should have applied for the money in the first place, not the forgivable portion. So the 940s will definitely be used. I know the AICPA is working with the SBA on trying to figure out the forgivable portion. And then a lot of my money I've saved in business accounts is actually in my personal funds, as I've had to pay personal income tax on it. My CPA said the talk among the CPA community is they'll extend the 8-week forgiveness. I think that's probably a reality. But again, I know the AICPA is heavily involved in working with the SBA right now. So in the chat box, Joe, again, thanks for sharing that article. I am pasting it right now, and everyone has it available. So that's great. We appreciate it.
Awesome. Where's it going to go, Dave? In the handouts or in the chat?
No, it's in the chat section.
So, Dave, maybe we can talk about just briefly, because it is so important for everyone to start embracing technology and operating in a virtual environment. And in particular, you got to be able to operate your financial planning process as effectively as you did face-to-face in a virtual environment. So really need to embrace this technology. I know we have a JL Smith Group, and at this point, I honestly think, because I've been sitting through the appointments with Chad and Brian and Jeff, watching them in the virtual environment, I actually think it's better. It's unbelievable, like how much more like tools they're using and engagement and everything else. I know you're missing that face-to-face contact, but I think that what we've done, and I'm going to give a lot of kudos to Dave for the virtual advisor and what he's recorded. Those things are all somebody.
That's Hammer. We were going to highlight how good Hammer's getting at technology, and then he just came on and did this.
He put his face on a minute ago too. I'm like,
Hammer, hit stop sharing your screen.
Yeah, I did.
Oh
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
And your screen just took over ours.
I'm sorry. I can still see you. There, you
Anyway.
can see me now, right?
Yeah, stop sharing your.
Yeah.
I see it now. Hold on. Stop sharing. Got it.
Nice. What a great intro.
Rick Ryland just said Hammer is elderly, so give him a break.
That's right. 50 years old.
Awesome. So just embracing this technology, I think Greg's going to add some good cue that you took. Greg, so tell us about what you've done, right? About embracing some of this stuff, because what Greg was saying earlier today is like, yeah, Dave can do it, but everybody's like, Dave knows that he can do that, right? Everybody knows Dave's the tech guy, right? He knows how to do that stuff. And even, I've had a lot of help in embracing this technology and utilizing it. And but Hammer, I think just hearing from your perspective about what your office has done and what progress you guys have made and what resources you've leveraged to be able to start using technology in your current client appointments and conducting virtual sales.
Well, I think the biggest thing, and this was not practice, this was actually me trying to get on to make sure you could hear me and see me. We talked today when I was with Jason and Dave earlier, we're talking about getting people to actually begin doing the virtual marketing, begin doing the virtual appointments. And I told them, Dave, it's easy from your perspective because this is the world you grew up in, you're good at it, you're doing it. But for like me and some of the other advisors, we've always done things in person. And so like probably a lot of you guys out there, I was pretty resistant in the beginning to start. But I also realized that this is probably not going away anytime soon. And we have fully engaged now. I got all my advisors going through the process that Dave has put together. We have our first Weathering the Storm seminar scheduled. We're beginning the marketing for that. We're also looking to begin doing some of the marketing dates, but I think more important is the point that we have started running virtual meetings. We have started meeting with clients through the virtual process, even before the sales process. And like the start of this one, I think what I want to try to do so people understand, you're putting a barrier up there, an apprehension up there that I don't think you should be, because I start every presentation warning my clients or prospects that this will probably not go smoothly, and they laugh. And we just talk about it as, look, I'm going to go through this. If by accident I hang up on you, I'll call you back. You get giggles, you make a joke out of it. I don't think there's been a clean appointment yet, but we are getting better. And what I will say is the people in my office, now I have a couple of young guys that are really good at doing it. They know the technology, they've been my support team, but there's 3 of us in the office that really had no intention of ever doing anything virtually. And we're all working virtually right now. And it is pretty amazing how accepting they are for your I guess your fallacies, right? Because you're not comfortable with doing it. You're not really smooth at the presenting part, but the content is what they care about. They care about the fact that you're making the effort. And we've had huge success, not only with the clients, but with new prospects, even not utilizing the full process that Dave has put together. And what's been amazing is some of the people are actually more comfortable doing the virtual process from start to finish and moving assets. So we've actually closed. If you'd asked me 2 months ago, Dave would have probably laughed. 2 months ago, Greg Hammer's closing things virtually. Yeah, I would have been right with him. I says, I don't know what world you're living in, but we have actually closed business completely virtually without ever having them enter our office. And I never would have thought that would have been possible for me. I know it's possible, but not just because of my comfort level. But I will tell you, even Deb in my office, we talked about it at our sales meeting this week, said point blank, she goes, my comfort level has reached an entire new length because of what we've been doing and what we've been forced to do. And what I wanted to kind of share is I think there's an opportunity that's going to come out of this, because you have everybody getting more comfortable with the virtual world right now. They are all working from home, and you have a lot of people that, like me 2 months ago, probably never would have accepted a virtual meeting or process or implementation. I think are going to be very, very open to it. And I think it's super important to understand that this is an opportunity to expand your business. You need to jump on it. We're excited about it. I mean, we're looking at in our office as an opportunity. Of course, I have apprehension like everybody. I think it's going to be, I mean, I think the rest of the year, there's no way to tell what's going to happen. But I do know that this virtual process is going to be something that we're going to have as a part of our organization moving forward forever. And even if we go back to normal, which who knows when that will be, this is an opportunity to expand beyond your geographical area. But there's a lot of people that just prefer to do business this way. You know, we had especially some of the younger clients, they would rather do it virtually than come to your office. So you're just creating more opportunities. And then, you know, I think the biggest thing for us is we've been talking about this for a couple of years, getting into the Facebook, the virtual world. And because things were going so well, it was always put on the back burner. There was always more pressing issues. Well, I kick myself in the butt now, because if I'd have done it 2 years ago, like Dave, this transition would have been kind of seamless. But, you know, I'm excited about it. And I think people just need to look at it from that viewpoint. You need to be excited about what this is going to open up in terms of opportunity, because after this is done, or during this process, I think the conversation we have around the bucket plan philosophy is going to have such a larger impact when you're sitting with clients and you're having this conversation. I mean, people forgot what markets normally do. This is something that historically markets are always going to experience. And, you know, a lot of our clients, unless your clients are different than mine, you know, they're kind of dead to that sense of, okay, we're going to see market corrections. I can do it myself. Why should I pay somebody? Well, they're going to listen now. Even the clients that we've gone through virtually that are existing clients in our reviews and doing things, they are now ready to have us take over everything because of what we've done and the way we've communicated and reached out to them, both by the phone and virtually, because our offices were closed. So I think it's important if a guy like me can get into the technology world of doing the virtual. Now, granted, I stumbled, but I think that's part of the fun part. Everybody can do it, and you need to do it. You're going to benefit from it.
That's great, Greg. And here's the thing. In addition to what you just said, Greg, think about the referrals that you can now go after all around the country from your existing client base. That before, it was like you just didn't, at least I know our office didn't. We didn't really proactively go after the referrals of, you know, the brothers, the sisters, the friends and loved ones of our existing clients that were spread all over the country, because we were so comfortable and used to doing everything face to face. So it opens up such a big opportunity to grow your business in that way. And, you know, for those of you who haven't done it yet, I mean, we're going to proactively reach out to every one of you, and we're going to talk about what's the best way we can help you do it. Do you need us to literally just kind of hold your hand all the way through it? Because we have the team and the resources to do it. You know, do you need online training? Do you need tutorials? Do we need to get your team involved? You know, what do we need to do? Do we need to walk you through and do a screen share step by step of what needs to happen? I mean, we're going to help you get there. And that's our commitment to you, because it's too important not to. Because step one is you got to get comfortable using the software, the hardware, the technology. You got to get yourself all set up. Then the second step is you got to start getting comfortable getting all these tools uploaded on the bucket plan and everything else to be able to utilize it in a virtual environment and work through all that. And then the third thing is once you're comfortable there, then it's time to market. Then it's time to start pulling the trigger, spend some money, and get people on webinars just like you got people into seminars, and start doing business. Because the quicker you take action and start moving forward, the quicker your business cash flow is going to stop being disrupted. And so you got to take action.
And I'm pretty convinced that the wait and see method is not the method. Because think about it, even if they open doors again tomorrow, think about how many people are going to be reluctant to even come out and say, okay, let me go sit with 30 strangers after I've been quarantined for 2 months. They're not going to want to do it. There's no vaccine. This is not resolved. And Jason, to your point, I had a client of mine refer her daughter, who geographically is probably an hour from my office. We did the first initial fit call, did the first virtual discovery appointment with her. And at the end of the discovery appointment, actually on the fit call, she told me flat out, she goes, I would prefer to just do it all virtually if we can, and not have to worry about coming to your office. So the opportunity is there. Now think about it. There's going to be some people, I absolutely agree, that you're going to need to give a handshake to, see face to face before they actually decide that they want to become a client. I think we've all experienced that. But I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at how many people are willing to do it, even more so today than ever, without actually that physical interaction. And we just got to jump on it.
And you know, Greg, you just brought up a great point, and we were having some conversations this week around there are people, right? We're running into it at JL Smith Group. They want to make sure you're a real person. That's kind of like what you said, Dave, right? Like they want to have at least one meeting face to face somehow to see that you exist, right? You're not just in like, I don't know, some illusion on the computer screen, but you know, one of the things to consider is, because I want to talk about fit calls here next. And Dave, I want to have you bring up that document just to show the resource for all of our advisors that can access this resource, because it's amazing. And it's amazing how we all started doing this before this COVID-19 thing, because it was a blessing that we got a head start on doing these fit calls, you know, these right fit client calls, because that's really what you need to be doing right now in the virtual environment as kind of that first step. So we're gonna share that resource. But one of the things, if somebody, you know, if you sense they just really want to meet, I mean, the thing is go meet them for coffee outside, right? I mean, meet them at restaurants. I know in Ohio on Friday, tomorrow, or 2 days from now, they open up, or I think it's tomorrow, they open up for outdoor dining. So you can go meet them outdoors, right? Have a cup of coffee, meet them somewhere in a very casual way. That way you can go face to face, have that initial meeting, and then take them through it virtually. They're going to be a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to show this document here as soon as I can. Hammer stole my screen sharing ability. So give me a second.
Let's give them the option. That's the thing. I think
Dave,
you give them the option.
Dave, we're laughing about this, right? This is the fun part, you guys. Everybody expects you not to be perfect, especially if you've never done it with them before. And one thing I'll add while Dave's pulling up the fit call, part of the fit call that I've added to him is asked, how would you prefer to continue this process? Would you prefer to continue it virtually from start to finish, or would you prefer to continue at some capacity virtual, in person, face to face? Here's our safety protocols. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. I have the opportunity on a fit call to explain to them what to expect in our office, what we're doing. We have a separate space away from our common area. They won't enter where our other employees are. We're disinfecting the room after every appointment. We have our mask. We have masks available for them. So you're able to give them a lot more assurance before they come in, because they know what to expect if, in fact, they do want to come in. But we've been pleasantly surprised with the amount of people that are willing to engage virtually.
Yeah, these fit calls have been a game changer. I found these to be the biggest difference maker when doing virtual meetings, because it gives you the opportunity to give a firm overview, you know, let them learn about you, you learn about them, make sure it's a right fit before you invest that 90 minutes in that step one discovery. So Hammer did a session on this at the Mastermind Collegium in December. There was a top 5 roundtable, but then it got built out into a full document on exactly how to do it, the script to use, how to set up the call. I mean, everything from A to Z, the assistant script when she's setting up the fit call with the advisor, the best practices that you need to run through. And so this is available, and there's a video of Hammer doing it. But you know, I found these fit calls are so powerful. And I had a step one discovery meeting last night with an individual in the Pacific Northwest. So think about it. I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. They're in just outside of Seattle. And they're 50 years old. They came through one of my tax planning webinars. They were interested. We scheduled a fit call. He told me flat out on the fit call, he loved, the concepts that I was doing, but they also interviewed 3 other local financial advisors. So here I am in Cleveland, Ohio. The other 3 advisors are local to him in the Pacific Northwest. I told him what our fee was to move forward with the 4-step process, the bucket plan. He said, okay, that sounds reasonable. Sends us an email saying, I want to get started. And the first thing that I did on the meeting was I said, I know you were interviewing 3 other advisors locally. What made you choose us? And he said there was 2 things. Number 1, the integrated tax planning. And number 2, the fact that we can build a relationship by him going through the 4-step process, for him paying a fee for service before he had to make the decision to move all of his money over. And so think about, I beat 3 local advisors who probably, over the course of the last couple of months were face to face for those 2 things. And that's the opportunity every one of us have. And it's because we have all the process, the tools, everything all documented out. Joe Bolello, you put in the comments, years ago, you used to do web presentations with pre-prepared PowerPoints, and that's how you would do virtual meetings. And essentially, that's what we have with the bucket plan. It's like a pre-prepared PowerPoint because you have all the concepts and the tools ready to go. You just need to share it with them, earn their trust, earn their business through the virtual environment, and they'll still move forward and hire you.
And I'll add too, Dave, and I'll let you guys chat more. But guys, this 2.0 version that Dave's created, we've spent, Jason, how many hours do you think we've spent revamping that whole 2.0 process and refining it? And it's all now set up virtual, where Dave has it, where it's so easy. We talked about in our office before Dave did this.
And so is 1.0, Greg, because most people don't know 2.0, right? The entire 1.0 is completely virtual and set up, all the tools and everything. So even if you haven't gone through 2.0.
But either way, it's so easy. We talked about having folders pre-made for each appointment, and we had done it to have the physical one. And then we were actually trying to figure out how to do it for the virtual appointments. And lo and behold, we get an email, Dave had done all the work. So I don't know if Dave ever sleeps, to be honest with you. I don't know how he gets all this stuff done. But it made it so easy. And actually, Casey is, Casey, Dave, he's already been on there drawing with the notepad, doing stuff, getting everything ready to rock and roll for me, so I can just show up and take the limelight. I doubt I'll ever be given the controls, but it'll work.
And I got to give kudos to our training department, because they played a monster role in creating all of that too, for all those resources that are available for the advisors. Let's switch gears over here to Rob, because we're almost out of time. Yep.
Yeah, I just want to say the planning process is critical, but then I know operationally, all the e-application, total account opening online, annuity applications through Firelight. It's seamless from that first fit call all the way through. You move the money, and you got to get your first one under your belt, right? Once you get your first one under your belt, you will be like, I can't believe I haven't been doing this for years.
Yep. Let's get a marketing update from Rob. As we promise each week, we're going to get progress on how what our results are for marketing. So Rob, you want to pipe in and join us? There we go.
Yeah, absolutely.
How are we doing?
Guys. I'm doing well. How are you? Thanks for having me back.
Good.
So last week, Dave kind of threw down the gauntlet, right? He was coming off of his very successful taxes and retirement webinar. I accepted the challenge on behalf of the JL Smith Group to get 6 appointments booked during the webinar. So I guess I can report today that we had 2, but our prospector has been banging the phones all week, and we got 4 more as of right now. So I don't know if that violates the spirit of the challenge, but I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to call it a draw. But
nice.
Yeah, Dave, thanks for putting that together for us. It was really great, and Brian delivered it with a lot of energy, as he always did on Monday. So just for everybody, the numbers on that were, we had 49 registrants, right? And these were Facebook ads that Dave helped us out with. Super cost-effective way of marketing this. And got 49 registrants, 32 attended, which really kind of hit the number that we're seeing now. We've done 11 webinars now, and we're seeing that the attendee per registrant percentage is right at about 2/3, right? And so that's what we got for that as well. And again, as of right now, with our follow-up process in place, we've got 6 appointments from that. So thanks again, Dave, for your help with that. Secondarily, we did our 3rd actually Weathering the Storm webinar this morning. The 3rd time's the charm, right? So we feel really good about that as well. So we had 45 registrants and 32 attendees for that. So it was really strong. We're about a 71% attendee per registrant rate, which we feel great about. And this one actually had more prospects than percent of prospects than we saw in the first 2, which was really great seeing our clients, bring some of their loved ones to the webinar as well. So we've got 3 right fit calls scheduled as of right now from that for prospects, and then 3, the VIPS calls with our current clients to go over their bucket plan, and of course, try to reach out for introductions as well. So feeling pretty good, about this week. Had a really successful week. And I think we spoke last week that we're, trying to space the webinars out a little bit more because, and I guess perhaps this is a good problem to have. The calendars were really getting filled up with right fit calls. So, I think we reported last week we didn't have a lot of success for discovery appointments, but all of the fit calls that we've had over the last week, we've really seen some progress on the discovery appointments. So we've actually got 16 discovery appointments scheduled right now too. So we feel really good about the efforts that we've done.
Yeah, that's awesome. 16 step 1 first appointments out of our effort.
Absolutely. So the one number that we're really focused on, I'd love to hear what everybody's thoughts are. And I know we're running a little bit late on time, but I'd like to see what the masses are for the right fit calls per attendee, right? So we're at about a 19% clip of setting fit calls per attendee. I'd love to see what everybody else does and kind of put our heads together and put all the numbers together and see what should our target be there. So yeah, I'd love to kind of see that from everybody. But right now we're at about 19%. I'd like to see that a little bit higher.
Cool. Quick question.
So 2 out of 10 ballpark. Yeah.
How much advertising for Facebook ads?
Yeah, so we did the total amount spent was $625 for the taxes and retirement one. So yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else, Rob?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, appreciate you having me back on.
Yeah, I will just share.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I did the webinar the day of the last Whiskey Wednesday mine. I had 6 people, that booked to go through the planning process for $2,000 as a planning fee. I had 3. So what I do is the call to action is we do a 20-minute call, but not like a fit call. It's more so I could explain to them the planning agreement and schedule step 1. So we had 3 scheduled. 1 showed up. 2 of them no-showed. The 2 that no-showed, I could tell by their comments, probably weren't going to be a fit in the first place. But the one who showed up committed for the $2,000 planning fee. She's got 1.8 million of investable assets in 2 401k plans, and she's 62. And so she's scheduled for next week for our full 90-minute step 1. And then I have another one tonight in 22 minutes that just confirmed they will be on. And then I've got 3, 2 more after tonight. So, opportunity for sure.
You got a first appointment right after this. That's why you're not drinking your whiskey.
I'm drinking it slow. So.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Rob. And thanks for sharing, Greg. So we showed you the fit call. We have the, really all these virtual advisor resources are completely available, and we have the capacity. Your business development partners are well trained. They're ready to walk you through step by step. So we're going to help you. We're going to role play with you. We're going to take you step by step to embrace this technology so you can get comfortable and confident of conducting the bucket plan, the sales process, the financial planning process virtually. So then you can pull the trigger and start doing some marketing and get back to normal, get that pipeline filled back up again.
Hey, Jason, I just want to share as we're kind of wrapping up here. I actually just got an email from our law firm, and the SBA and Treasury put out new guidance now that like anyone under 2 million doesn't really have to worry per se. They're going after fraudulent and misleading. That they basically, our law firm said, people under 2 million could take a sigh of relief. It's not like you're totally out of the woods or anything, but they're hunting for the 2 million or more, and then they're going to be looking for like fraud and issues like that. It is going to ease up some of the necessity of the 2 million and under. There'll still be I think all the stuff what Joe sent in that link I would absolutely do regardless, but it seems like they're continuing to provide more good guidance, and
That's great.
We'll keep people in the loop on that.
Dave, last week we said we were going to share the decision tree, and we ran out of time, and now it's happening again. Maybe I'll just do a quick 2-minute overview so people know it's available and they can request it if they want it. So maybe you could blow it up a little bit so we can see it a little better. But what this is we talked last week about having a 4-2-1 for hunting and a 4-2-1 for farming. So this is the 4-2-1 for farming. So these are current clients, new revenue. So you're trying to really farm new revenue from your existing client base is what this is for. And so the 4 is really this conversation, this decision tree analysis and conversation with your existing client to determine what the need is, if they have any need for any of these things, and what their insurability is. So how do you go about doing that? Well, first of all, you look at your client to prepare beforehand and determine, is there an opportunity, low-hanging fruit, for maybe a safe money alternative? Maybe it's moving fixed income, right, portion over into an annuity. Maybe it's a rewrite, right? That's what we did. Is normally we just do it at annual reviews. JL Smith Group, we looked out over the next 12 months to identify contracts that were out of surrender or about to be out of surrender that made sense to do a rewrite. So is there annuity new opportunity? Let's analyze our existing client base first for that. Yes? Obviously move forward. No? Next, is the client insurable, right? And if it's a yes, then you have to ask yourself, is long-term care a concern or priority? And maybe you do the concerns and priorities worksheet, right? Use that document to help guide you. If they're not insurable, you could do a 1-year home health care policy. You could do a funeral expense trust. If they are insurable, now in long-term care is a priority. Then you go to yes. Is there a lump sum in the later bucket that can be repositioned? If it's yes, it's asset-based long-term care. If it's no, if it's life insurance with a long-term care rider, if they don't have a lump sum. But if you go to ask the question if long-term care is a concern or priority, or you do the concerns and priorities worksheet, if the answer is no, then you have to ask yourself, is cash value access or death benefit more important to this client, right? And if you make the determination cash value is more important, then maybe you go with whole life and make that presentation. If it's not important, if death benefit, taking care of the family or the beneficiaries is, then you look at a guaranteed UL. But this is like a decision tree analysis of how to farm your existing client base for new opportunities. Because the 4-2-1, what it is if you do 4 of these with your existing A and B list clients, you should be able to figure out 2 presentations to do, right? To have 2 presentations out of those 4 decision tree analysis and conversations. Then you circle back, schedule another appointment, do 2 presentations, you're going to get 1 sale. That's your 4-2-1. If you take your whole book of A and B list clients and you do this with every single one of them, you're more likely to die of indigestion than starvation, right? You're going to have more business than you know what to do with.
That's great. I know, Jason, you shared this with me, and I had an existing client meeting on Monday, And we went through the process, and the client is doing $100,000 lump sum single premium Pac Life Premier Care and 30 grand a year into Mass Mutual whole life policy, just from kind of continuing to look at what he currently had, concerns and priorities. And I just got an email from him to this afternoon, and because I followed up with some things that we need to do to start the the application and underwriting process. And his email is on the long-term care side. He was like, we learned so much, and we think that that is just such a strong component of our overall plan. And it was just like, he's been an AUM client. He's 50 years old, and the power of that 5% compounding for the long-term care benefit on that Pac Life product, like, was almost a no-brainer for him. And it was exactly walking through, this decision tree.
It's awesome. That's great. Well, we're over time a little bit, but thank you, Greg, for joining us. Yeah, appreciate your insight.
No problem.
I think we're good.
I just let you know,
everyone,
Jason, I'm still accepting late birthday gifts.
Awesome. I'll let Holly know.
all right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today, and we'll see everyone next week. Continue to let us know, email us, call us, let us know any way we can help, work with your business development team. Let's make you an expert in operating in a virtual environment.
Take care.
The other
Thanks,
thing is, if
everyone.
you're in the mastermind group, book mentor calls. Hammer's available. I'm available. Other advisors at the J.L. Smith Group are available. We're here to help you implement these tools and resources. All right, we'll talk to you soon.